Hello and welcome back to my channel, RAINN HD, for the second out of a three-part conversation which, in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month, will explore how to raise children to navigate the danger of child sexual abuse offline. My guest is still Melissa Pintor Carnagey, a sexuality educator and licensed social worker who is also the founder of Sex Positive Families, a resource that empowers families to raise sexually healthy children using a shame-free, pleasure positive and comprehensive approach. And she's also the author of Sex Positive Talks to Have with Children. So in the previous episode, we talked about child sexual abuse occurrences. What are signs that they might be undergoing? What are techniques used by abusers? And who does this abuse typically come from? In this episode, Melissa is going to share 3 ways that caregivers can use to verbally empower children to raise awareness of their body and grow confidence to establish boundaries when they're old enough to do so themselves. So without further ado, let's get started with the first one, helping them develop body awareness.
Establishing body awareness with the young person. So that's ensuring that we're naming their body parts. As you can see my posters here, that we're using accurate terms when we're naming all of their body parts, not just head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but genital anatomy terms. So when they're in those younger years, when we can speak in affirming and clear ways about their body, it helps them to be able to do the same and to be able to develop skills where they can speak up if there's something ever that happens to or with their body that may feel uncomfortable or unsafe or not okay or concerning to them.
So in case you haven't paid attention to the poster that was sitting right behind Melissa, body parts are not bad words. They are parts of our body that are essential to our well-being and do not deserve to be shamed or censored. Now, moving on to our second verbal way that caregivers can empower children, role play.
Role playing is a great tool, right? So giving young people scenarios and talking them through, and that just again can just look like, what would you do if, or if someone were to do this, what would you do next? Or what could you do, should you do, that kind of thing, right? And that can be a teachable moment that can happen anytime, not just in response or reaction to something, or it could be while you're watching something together, right? So now that we have some new information and we know that it is not just strangers, that we need to still communicate and talk about this and say, what if, but now we just be more explicit about incorporating scenarios or examples that are closer to home. Be really clear and say, so what will we do if grandma so-and-so wanted a hug from you and you didn't feel like a hug? What can you do? And talk about that.
Melissa made such a good point here. It's not everything to teach kids about consent. We also have to teach them about power dynamics, because those are the ones that often prevent this consent from being freely given. So when you are leveraging this role-playing technique, make sure that you incorporate more than strangers, but people who are close to you and to your little one, so that they understand that their boundaries can apply to everyone. So now let's hear a third verbal way that Melissa recommends adopting.
And we can start to give them the language around feelings and emotions and the experiences of their body to help them be able to articulate and speak up when and if something is not right or has happened to them. They could be in the bath. How does that water feel to you? How does that feel, that temperature feel to your body? Ooh, is that too hot? Is that too cold? Ooh, does that feel really comfortable and safe? Even when we talk about touch and physical touch, like a hug or cuddling or any of that, if and when that's desired in that moment, what does that feel like to you? Because all of that ultimately relates to when and if they're in a situation, a circumstance, a moment, an experience, or an interpersonal dynamic. What is it feeling like to you? What does it feel like to be loved? What does it feel like to be cared about? What does it feel like to feel safe with this person or in this place? All of that is preparation. All of that is preparation for them to be able to maintain that awareness, that self-awareness, and then have the skills to be able to advocate for themselves and what they need for their own felt safety in any moment or experience.
So you can use these 3 verbal ways to proactively and consistently help children develop body awareness. But even though I'm not a parent, I have enough experience with children to know that it ain't all about proactivity. And more often than not, you'll have to react to the curiosity they manifest through their questions and behaviors. So let's say 2 siblings during bath time are manifesting some curiosity to touch each other's genital parts. I asked Melissa, how do you provide redirection in a way that doesn't shame them for their innate and genuine curiosity?
When we're talking about play that involves genitals, it's important that we are remembering that we're helping to prepare a young person for how they will navigate their bodies, how they will navigate interacting with other people. And so that redirection is in support of that bigger understanding. It's typical and normal for young people to be curious about other people's bodies. It is typical for young people of around the same age. We usually use like a 3-year age difference to define that. If it's anything more than 3 years, then they're not considered in that peer group with each other. If there's a curiosity about each other's bodies, then affirming that it's normal and okay to be curious and to want to know, what someone else's body looks like, or to even be curious about touching another person's body. This is where we want to redirect them towards how can we be curious in ways that are safe, and saying, we don't touch, so-and-so, we don't touch their penis or their genitals or their vulva. I or the other parent can clean your brother's penis. If you'd like to help, here's how you can help. But no one else is allowed to do that. We don't want your little brother to get used to someone touching them in their penis if it's not because they're allowed to take care of their penis. Let's read a book together and we can learn about bodies, right? So we want to redirect them towards what are the ways that they can be curious. So we're not shutting them down or sending that shame based message that we're not swatting their hand away, or we're not punishing. So you don't want to use any forms of punishment if ever this happens. It's our job to help give them safer ways that they can be curious, so that they themselves are not either in a position where their boundaries get crossed or where they are crossing another person's boundaries.
So this concludes our 2nd episode. Don't miss the 3rd and last episode on nonverbal ways that caregivers can adopt to empower children against child sexual abuse offline. If you found this video valuable, please leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Ciao.